Hello, everybody, and welcome again. This is, I don't know if you know this guy.
Hi,
This is
everyone.
my son, Yehuda. We had some discussion about, just before the last candle of Hanukkah and Rosh Chodesh Tevet, the month of Tevet. And normally the month of Capricorn, the month of Tevet can be a little bit tough, difficult. No coincidence, it's also 10 day of Tevet, the beginning of the Matzor. I would say Matzor.
The siege on the walls of Jerusalem.
The siege. I knew I needed here. The siege on Yerushalayim. So if you look at Bnei Saschar, you look at something very interesting. Like just to start with that, before even I'm going into explain Capricorn and stuff like that, it said צירוף השם הנכבד של חודש טבת. The combination, every time you have a combination of letters, is K-Yud, K-Vav. Okay? So יוצא מספות תבות, גדלו להשם איתי ולרוממה, שמו יחדיו. נראה לי להיות זה החודש גם כן מצורף לימי חנוכה עם החודש כסלו. And this month is related to Hanukkah as well, because we are having two candles that will light into the month of Tevet. The Shvi'i, in Lamed Kislev and Aleph, Lamed Kislev, Aleph Tevet, and Bet Betevet. We have three candles, actually. וניתנו הימים להודות ולהלל, נר הצירוף הזה של אורחות ופעולות גדלו להשם. So we need to understand what exactly is the letters has to do with it, and I'm about to explain to you. On top of it, we know also there is two letters that corresponding to this month, Bet corresponding to the planet Saturn, and Ain corresponding to the idea of Capricorn. So if you look, the Ain, say Sefer Yetzirah, Imlich ot Ain berogez, he crowned the letter Ain and Rogez. Rogez meaning anger, upsetness, not being happy. וקשר לכתר, put a crown on it. וצר בהם גדי בעולם, ונקראת Capricorn. The sign of גדי is Capricorn. וטבת בשנה, in the month of Tevet, in the year. And what is an effect in the nefesh, in the body? Kaved, the liver. The liver. The liver, those of you who don't know, in charge, according to the Zohar Pinchas, of anger or bitterness or not being satisfied from something. Atkan. So we need to understand what is going on, because Kislev and Tevet kind of sharing Hanukkah together, because it say, בית החודשים היו מסוגלים מבראשית לנר מצווה. הנה סמך עין בגימטריה נר. So if you take the letter סמך עין to spread it like סמך מם כף and עין יוד נון, גימטריה ner. So it's ner. So we understand we're dealing with a very special time, but in the same time, Yehuda mentioned the words in English. The siege of Jerusalem, happened in this month, and we need to fully understand what is a siege around a town. I mean, they used to do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, way back when they used to have walls around cities, the sieges used to be basically the general would bring his army, and they would surround the walls of the city, and they would sit there. Nobody goes in, nobody goes out until the city runs out of food. And then once the people are weak, then they break in and then they fight. And that's what they did to Yerushalayim back in the day.
But in those days, it was a temple inside.
Exactly.
So Asara B'Tevet was the siege. 17 of Tammuz was breaking the walls, and Tisha B'Av, or 10th of Av actually, burning 9 and 10, burning the temple. So we read together, you and me read together that in fact the 10 of Tevet is so harsh because it was the beginning of
it's the beginning of the whole story of the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. So because it's the beginning of all the bad, it's considered so harsh that according to Jewish law, if the 10th day of Tevet ever falls on Shabbat, you actually fast anyway on Shabbat, even though normally you never fast on Shabbat.
So because it's a seed.
Yes.
Because it's a seed. Because we have many tzomot, we have many taniot, and of course people we fast on that day, tanit, from morning to night, and it's a quite a very powerful time. Yehuda can say later. I mean, when I'm thinking about like change and transformation in this month, we're looking at it like what is the right transformation? Sometimes I'm too tough on myself, And I think if I see what's missing, then when I fulfill what's missing, that's achievement. And Yehuda shared with me a different opinion of what means success. You can share.
For me, it is of course important to know what's missing so you know where to improve, but I think it's also very important to focus on what you've achieved so far. Sometimes you get down in the dumps, you're not so happy with where you are in your life, and then you remember, wait, I've done all these amazing things. I am capable. I have done this. I can get through this tough time. And it's very motivating for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you hear two different opinions. I think it's maybe generation communication or a different type of persona. I mean, he's a Leo. For him, glory is the beginning of getting another glory. Yeah, I'm Scorpion. So for me, if I don't find anything bad, it's got to be good. So it's don't follow my way or maybe his way. It's for each person. It's individual. It's a very individual way of behaving. And my wife is always, create the balance in the house to make sure we are different. Because those of you who know the Jian, we're very different from each other. Every person think in a different style, different way. And definitely you think in a very different way, in a positive way, of course, in a positive way. But I would like to read from Ismach Israel. It's a great book that today caught my eyes. I was about to look for Shnei Luchot HaBrit about Hanukkah. And for some reason, it's almost like the book told me, you never use me. Why you bought me? If you bought me, why don't you use me? I said, oh, so slicha. So I look at my Sfarim. Those of you who've been in my house, it's all the wall are surrounded by books. And the books, I believe, as personality of the righteous person who wrote them, by Maran Yerachmiel Israel Yitzchak. Okay, so he's the son of Maran Yechiel Alexander. Okay, so we talk about big Mekubalim, big Hasidim, if you want. Okay, so I wanted to read what he wrote about Rosh Chodesh Tevet, and then maybe Yehuda. After that, Yehuda, can you tell the story on Shabbat? What you told us on Shabbat about looking in motivation, because it's related to what you say, in motivation from a point of glory, from a point because this guy was, very interesting. So first I'm going to read what's happening tonight. Don't forget, Rosh Chodesh Tevet usually bring you the Shmini, the eighth candle, and the eighth candle is quite important. There is some minagim. They don't have the minag nachon, minag lo nachon, true, not true. It doesn't matter, but you have nothing to lose. To write, a paper and then stick it to the menorah, to the Chanukiah. The reason you do that because you're writing Mina Metzar Karatiya, and then you write the list of thanking to Hashem, Odu Hashem Kitov, and then you write what is missing in your life, and you can actually work on that. So it say, הנה בימי החנוכה ימים המהירים, עת וזמן שנתגלה אורות קדושים ובהירות, צריך אדם להכין עצמו לימים הבאים, הימים נמוכים. On Hanukkah, which is all light, said to us, Yismach Israel, that it's actually to prepare us for what's coming after. What's coming after. It's called Nemuchim Rosh Chodesh Tevet Veshvat. It's actually included next 2 months to be Nemuchim.
Shvat also.
Shvat also, yes.
Wow.
Because it's come from the word Shevet. Shevet means tribe, but also Shevet is what you hit the horse with.
You hit cattle prod?
Yeah. Shem Yemei HaShovavim, because we know from Shmot, Vayera, Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, ומשפטים, וזה כל שובבים. This is the time we clean ourselves from our עבירות, from our negativity. It's always fall on Tevet and Shvat. שלא ייפול חס ושלום ויחזיק ויישען בהשם. So a person should not fall, so he's getting the light from Hanukkah. וגם הצירוף מהשם, הוויה, ברוך הוא המאיר בחודש הזה, also the name that shine in this name, show you that there is a heavy day that's coming. Because it's come from the pasuk, גדלו להשם איתי, like we wrote before from בני יששכר, ונראה מהשם הוא יחדיו. K-Yud, K-Vav. You have first the A, then those of you who study Kabbalah a little bit with us, with Yehuda or with myself, to the Talmud Sefirot, we know that the Yud K-Vav can represent the 4 phases, or the 4 Sefirot, or Chokhmah Binah Zera Malchut. So here, if you start with the A is always the Kevot, also the female. And the female is Adonai, and Adonai is Din, because the word Din there is judgment. So if the name is like that, so it's judgment, נוקבים קודם לדוכרין, שמורמז על דין כנודע. ואם האדם מחזק את עצמו בימי תוקף החשכות, so meaning what's coming in front of us is tough time, especially if you know about Mercury in retrograde astrology. So ואם אתה ממליך הקדוש ברוך הוא לרמ"ח יברך ושסה גידם, הוא מאמין באמונה שלמה כי בחושך נורא עמי שעריה. And a person, what is going to the darkness, what is going to the doubt, what is going to negative time, believe that Hashem will be there for him. So that's a real emuna, real certainty, שגם בחושך מתנוצץ אור. So within this darkness, things not working, money is not working, arrangement, people don't believe in you, nothing worked the way you wanted to work, you're in choshech, you're in dark. And here we are in the 8th of Hanukkah in Tevet. To start the months with light, specifically, it doesn't start just in Rosh, it starts also in Tevet, to shine toward the entire months, because we know it's a heavy month. מתוך הצרה ימציא בדות ורווחה. From the problem and the sorrow, something good will happen. As it says in מסכת שבת, עמוד זין, ברישא חשוכה והדר נאורה. It starts with darkness, but it ends up with light. מבחינת היעדר קודם להוויה. So in Kabbalah, always the lack is coming before the fulfillment. The vessel comes before the light. הקליפה קודם לפרי. The shell of the tree, the skin of the apple is before you get to the apple. So it's the same like the klipa is around, the negative is around. באמונתו החזקה זוכה לגדל ולהרים לנשא שמו יתברך. When you believe in a worst time of your life, you actually make the name of God the greatest. The greatest. And Rav Ashlag actually talk about it. Rabbi Yehuda Ashlag mentioned in the introduction on Talmud Aser Sfirot. And what is he right there? עיקר עבודתו של אדם. The real work of a person is when it's not working. Not when it's working. Spirituality is not when everything is going well. When you have the money for it, when you have the house for it, when you have the mikveh for it, when you have everything you need. Spirituality is based, especially when you see that nothing works and you continue anyway. זה spirituality. וזוכה על ידי זה לייחוד המידות. וזה כתבו, גדלו להשם. So, למה? Why is the pasuk, איפה זה? The pasuk of Rosh Chodesh Tevet, you know, if you look at the Rosh Chodesh Tevet, it's a גדלו להשם איתי ונורמה שמו יחדיו. The pasuk is, גדלו להשם איתי ונורמה ש... Why you can only elevate the name when nothing works? Because you cannot elevate the name when it's up. Like in 2 months, right? You cannot elevate when it... אין מה לעשות, אם זה perfect, זה perfect. הקדוש ברוך הוא make it perfect. מה אני יכול לעשות? But when it's really, nothing work, but nothing. No בנות זוג, בת זוג, בן זוג, house, apartment, job, nothing. עכשיו אתה יכול להגיד, גדלו להשם, אם זוכה לגדל ולהמליך את הקדוש ברוך הוא, איתי, כנודע דוד היה מדעת מלכות, ונרוממה, שמו לעלות על הרים שמו יתברך, אז היא זוכה לייחוד המידות המרומז ביחדיו, וייחוד המידה זוכה לאור החסד כנודע, שהאורות מבטשים זה בזה, ביטוש, של אור החסד יוצא מביניהם ומתפשט מהיר לעולם כולו, וכוח ההתחזקות ותוקף אור אמונתו החזקה בתוך החשכות עולה למעלה למעלה. So when a person has belief during the time of darkness, then from that the person elevated. I think that's
it's beautiful.
That's I think unbelievable. Where do we learn it from? I'm gonna surprise you right now.
Okay.
Where do you learn it from that it's true? Look at this. מאיפה לומדים? וזה מאמר הכתוב באסתר.
Wow.
ותילקח אסתר אל המלך אחשוורוש בחודש. איזה חודש?
העשירי.
העשירי. מה זה העשירי? הוא חודש טבת. So Esther was taken in the 10th month, the worst month. היינו בחודש טבת בימים הנמוכים. It was the worst day, ימי החשכות. בני ישראל, the Israelites was in the worst גלות. They were that close to be killed. והסתרת פנים, אם האדם מחזק את עצמו בעת ההסתרה זוכה שתילקח ההתחזקות והאמונה למלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא לממליך טוב. What does that mean? ותילקח אסתר. What does it mean? Esther was taken. You know what Esther mean? In Hebrew, Esther also mean hiddenness, concealment. So the concealment, Hashem take, what do you mean ותילקח אסתר? The concealment will be taken away from you only in this month. If you have a emunah that nothing work, you're sitting there and nothing work. And I have to tell you, I just had a conversation with my best friend, partner, friend, doesn't matter the name. And we had a lot of misunderstanding in the last months that caused me a lot of pain, caused him worse pain than mine. And I was missing our friendship, but we kind of didn't know how to talk around each other. We're going around and around and around. We didn't know how to communicate. And today I did something brave when he called me, and I pour my heart, and he poured his heart too. And it took some time. It was a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning. But then we left the conversation happy. At least I left the conversation happy. I think he did too. And we removed the Esther. We are able, ותילקח Esther. The Esther was taken away. When it happened, Tevet. Tevet. I mean, think about it. In Tevet it happened. So in Tevet there is a power to remove all concealment, the thing that make you see. I don't see how it's going to work. And Hashem will help us that it will work.
Amazing.
But anyway, Yehuda shared with me a story that I actually, do you have a question on that you want to ask about?
I actually thought of a couple other things that it's also connected to, maybe in this week's parasha, and the story that we're talking about in this week is the whole story of Yosef. Joseph goes to Egypt. He is sold by his brothers. It's a very dark start, you know. And then he's sold as a slave to the head of the butchers. And the guy's wife accuses him of trying to sleep with her, and then he gets thrown in jail, even darker, and he's there for 12 years, and it all seems really, really dark. And then suddenly, one of the guys he was there with remembers from 2 years ago that he
doesn't even mention it in a good way.
Yeah,
he actually makes it anar as this worst guy.
But because Joseph went through all of this, he was able to become the number 2 man in all of Egypt, and then when his father and the rest of his family came down to Egypt, they were able to live comfortably. Everybody left them alone. So
he was concealed too.
Exactly. So the way God planned everything was that in the beginning it seemed very dark, and poor Jacob thought his son was dead for 32 years. But at the end of the day, God had a plan in mind, because he knew that he was sending them to Egypt. So he made sure Joseph was there first. Joseph is the number 2 man. And now they can live comfortably, and they were well respected throughout their entire lives.
Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So the idea that you're saying, Yehuda, I think what you're saying is the concealment of not knowing is actually better for us.
Yeah, I think so. I think that when we don't have control over everything, God is a much better manager than we are. Okay.
Tough for me to Scorpio, I have to tell you.
I think that even though, I also have a control freak a little bit. So I think that even though it's tough at the time when we don't have control, and we don't know how it's going to end up, we don't know where it's going, when we have belief in God's plan, that not only that it's going to be okay, that it's actually the best thing that it can be for us.
You talk about full certain.
Yeah, but I think that's what Yismach Yisrael is saying when he says that that's what makes, that's how you make God's name so great.
Yeah.
What makes God so great is to show us time and time again that even though it makes absolutely no sense that it should work, it ends up working better than what we could have hoped for at the beginning.
I love that. I love that it related to the Parsha. I like it, the Parsha. But you have to share the story.
Okay, story.
He shared with us a story on Shabbat. That actually, what happened when a person going to a dark time with his teacher, or what happened when a person going to a dark time in his spirituality. What's to do? What to do with that? And I hope you can tell it the same way you tell it on Shabbat, because we all get emotional on that and make us a greater believer.
So the story goes like this. There was once a student of a sage by the name of the Seer of Lublin. It was a sage, a holy man, a Kabbalist who lived a couple hundred years ago. I think it was in Ukraine.
It was in Poland. I said, speak louder or get closer.
So he wasn't a very rich man. His job was he was a water carrier. He would go to the well. He would pick up 2 buckets of water, and he would walk around.
Of the Jose?
Yeah, he was one of the students of the Seer of Lublin, a student of the Jose of Lublin.
Just a student, okay.
Yeah. So he would pick up the water. He would go around town and make sure everybody has water for the day. That was his job. He didn't make a lot of money, but he made an honest living. And what he used to do was he lived pretty far from Lublin. And he used to save up money the whole year just to make 1 trip every year, the week before Rosh Hashanah, to go see his teacher. And it was the highlight of his year every year. Every year he went, the Jose of Lublin, his teacher, welcomed him with love and happiness and kindness, and he made him feel more important than everybody else in the world. And he really treasured these moments that he had with his teacher. So one year, he's saving up the whole year, penny by penny. and he's on his way. He's very excited. He gets to the office of the house in the house of the Chozeh of Lublin, and he walks into the office and he sees that the Seer of Lublin, his teacher, his face is not like it normally is. Normally he's smiling, he's excited to see him. This time, not so much. This time he's looking at him kind of weird. So the guy goes, Rebbe, I'm here. I came all this way. I'm happy to see you. And the Seer of Lublin says, Maishala, the guy's name is Maishala, I don't want you here. Please go home. The guy is shook. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He says, Rebbe, I saved all year. I came all this way. Please don't do this to me. The Rebbe says, no, you have to go home. I don't want you here. Now, especially in those days, the relationship that students had with their teachers.
Also the distance.
Yeah, the
to go back
distance.
home, and the relationship with student was like.
Yeah, so if the rabbi says to do this, that's what he did. Even though it hurt, and it hurt really bad. He made a long trip. All of his money was wasted, and he didn't even get to spend time with his teacher. He was very sad. But his teacher said to do something. That's what he did. So he goes back on his way. On his way back, nighttime comes. It's time to turn in for the night. He goes to an inn. At this inn, he sees there's a big group of people dancing, singing, having a great time. And he notices that they're actually also students of the Chozeh of Lublin. And it reminds him of what just happened to him a few hours ago with his teacher. And he gets even more sad. And he's sitting on this.
He's sad because their happiness is done.
He's sad because he can't be with his teacher. All he's thinking about is the fact that he wanted to be with his teacher, that he was waiting the whole year for this. And his teacher kicked him out, and he doesn't understand why. And the whole trip to the inn, he was thinking, maybe I did something wrong, maybe my teacher's trying to tell me something, and he was looking and he was searching and he couldn't find anything he did wrong. So he was so sad he couldn't even figure out why his teacher kicked him out. So he's sitting there off to the side, watching these people have fun. Suddenly one of the other students of the Seer of Lublin notices the guy. He says, wait, I know this guy. That's Maishala, the water carrier. So they call him over, they say, you look down, what's wrong? So he tells them, he says, listen guys, our teacher kicked me out. I've been racking my brain all day. I don't know what I did. I can't figure it out. But he told me to go home. He doesn't want me there. Now, every single one of them also has a strong connection with their teacher. And they understand how painful it must be for this guy. Because if their teacher did it to them, they would be distraught. They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. So at first, they don't know how to make him feel better. But after a while, one of the guys says, you know what? Enough. No more sadness. He picks up a shot of vodka. They're in Ukraine, it's vodka. He says, L'chaim Moshele, and may you be happy this year.
Wow.
That's one. The guy next to him goes, you know what? You're right. He says, L'chaim Moshele, may you be happy, may you make a lot of money this year. And every single one of the students who was there gives him a l'chaim and a different blessing, and he should be happy and wealthy, and his kids should make him proud, and all of these beautiful blessings. So with each blessing, Maishala started to feel a little bit better. By the end, he started dancing with them. He was dancing harder than all of them put together.
Wow.
Comes morning, it's time for the rest of the students of the Seer of Lublin to continue their journey to Lublin for Rosh Hashanah, to their teacher.
Yeah, and he has to go home.
Yeah, but he still has to go home. Even though he's feeling better, his teacher told him to do something. He told him to do something. He has to go home. So he's packing up, getting ready to go in the other direction. One of the guys on the wagon tells him, "Where are you going?" Says, I had a great time with you guys. You made me feel a lot better, but my teacher told me to go somewhere. I have to go. He said, don't be stupid. You don't have to listen to everything your teacher says. Drag him onto the cart. Before he can even answer, he drags him onto the cart. And they go to Lublin together to see their teacher. The guy's nervous. He says, my teacher's going to yell at me when I get there. He told me to go home, and now I'm directly against what he said. What am I going to do? He gets off the wagon. He sees the Seer of Lublin. He's getting ready for what's coming. And his teacher goes like this. He says, Maishala, I'm so happy to see you. I was waiting for you. Thank you for coming. Now the guy's confused. Maishala goes, with all due respect, my teacher, earlier today, or last night, you kicked me out. You didn't even want to see me. Now you're happy to see me. You've been waiting for me. What's going on? The teacher says like this. He says, when you first came to me earlier, I saw the angel of death tied around your ankle. And I knew that you didn't have much time left, so I wanted you to go home so you'd be able to at least say goodbye to your wife and kids first. But when you ran into the rest of my students at that inn, every single blessing they gave you pushed away the angel of death a little bit. Every lechaim literally translates to life. So every little blessing and lechaim that they gave you pushed the angel of death away a little bit until he was gone completely. And now you have many more years to live. So now, of course, I would love to have you for Rosh Hashanah, and I can't wait to spend time with you. So for me, there's two things from this story. Number one is, it started off dark, but imagine if the teacher had told him why he was sending him away, he wouldn't have stopped at the inn. He would have run straight home because he knew that his time was short. But because things were kept from him, because he didn't know what was going on, he stopped at the inn and he got those blessings, and he was able to receive those blessings, live longer, and spend time with his teacher. So it didn't just end up the way he wanted it, it ended up better.
It's exactly what we're saying about Esther.
Exactly.
Sometimes things need to be concealed. So I'm sure people are asking right after this story, did you say what was your takeout from the story?
Yeah, that was one of them. And the other one for me was that one of the most beautiful things one person can do for another is to make them feel better. Because
I like
you
it.
see somebody down, we've all been down at some point. We know how it feels. We say misery loves company. I think misery likes to be made feel better more than more misery. So to make somebody else feel better, it doesn't just help the person, it also helps you. You're happy together. And that doubles everything.
Yeah. I think what Yehuda just been mentioned, when we're talking about, that idea to be there for a person, we need to look at people as candle. Ner Hashem nishmat Adam. People like candle, and a lot of time, sometimes the candle, you buy a candle that has no wick in it, or the wax is broken, or it's wet. Different type of people. But your candle is running. If your candle is running, you gotta be next to the other candle until it will light. You cannot leave that location until the candle has fire on it. Because once the candle has fire on it, what is the angel of death? In this leg. In Siyum, there is an end. There's an end because they don't see a point of continuation. And, by him going and being around Simcha, in this month, to be Sameach, we're allowed to be happy only if we're doing it for mitzvah. We're doing it at the right thing. And normally the month of Capricorn can be heavy. And it should be heavy, but we need to know how to turn the Esther into Gilui. Vatilakach Esther. What do you think? Vatilakach Esther, that Esther will be taken. For me, it's a change. But I want to read something from Likutei Amarim. It says that the Simcha you should have is when you do love the neighbor as thyself. And the mitzvah of Chanukah is all about love the neighbor as thyself. So a lot of time we love another person, but it's not come with the happiness. It doesn't come in expression. You hide it. You hide the love. And if people want to know how to behave in this month, we need to add more love. We need to add more happiness. And we need to add more belief, emunah, to have more belief, to have more faith and trust and certainty that even if it's not as easy as it looks right now, it's going to be so great after. Just this is the time of the Nisayon. This is the time of the test. If everything will be okay, how are you going to grow? How are you going to grow? So Hashem is giving us people to work with, and through them you can practice love the neighbor as thyself. Now, Mazo Omer, love the neighbor as thyself. Again, it's my poor opinion. You can take it or leave it. There is an area about myself that I don't like. I don't like every part about myself. What will happen the day that I will find that part about myself that it's not so great, it's actually great. It's also vatila kachesta. That's concealed. But how do I get there? When we are capable to love another individual with their issue, with their problem, the reward for that would be to love the dark side of our personality. You understand? Let's say I'm too slow. Let's say I'm not educated enough in business. I want to do business, but I'm not that smart in that area. I'm embarrassed of that, but that's who I am. So you ask me about Torah, I will know a lot. But you ask me about business, how to build, what to do, when to pay, accounting, CEO, אני לא יודע, I don't know. Really don't know. It's embarrassing to say it, but it's the honest truth. So instead of hate that part about me, which I'm not crazy about it, so let's say if I find about you an area, I mean, Leo and Scorpio usually it's a very interesting situation. I mean, Leo do things in a certain way. I mean, we get connected, you and me, when we cook together. We get connected when we play chess. We get connected when we talk intellectually. We get connected when we have an argument about right or wrong. We get connected when we have a different opinion about sport, you know? But we have a different opinion. We actually enjoy having a different opinion because if we have the same opinion, we fall asleep. He's laughing. But the point is that within that, once I see the good in my son, then I will be capable to see the good in me. That was the good in me. And the one thing I can tell you about you, that you know, something that I would like to adopt that you have is you go after what's right. You go after what's right for society. You go what's right for people, and it's a beautiful thing. It's
I think I learned it from somebody.
Thank you. And it's about Moshe Rabbeinu, why he was chosen to be the leader, because היה מצר על ישראל, meaning he felt the problem that they're going through. He couldn't see them going to problem. And the first time I heard that about you, it was when you were in elementary school, when the kids couldn't go to the bathroom, and he was embarrassed to ask the teacher, and you took him without even telling us and help him. His parents called us to tell us what you did. And that touched me, you know, I have to say, that's touched me. Because Yehuda hide, mastir, the tov, and the idea to dig it out, and find it, helped me to find good about me. So those of you married to Capricorn, they may seem slow, the Capricorn, they may seem sad, they may seem heavy, but remember, there is a plan. There is a plan with Capricorn. Just give them time. They work very slow. That's an earth sign, and it work slow. But once Capricorn becomes spiritual, there's nothing like them. Nothing is more powerful than them. Because the letter that controls this Mars is Ein Bet, like the Ein Bet Shemot, like the 72 name of God, which is mind over matter, which is removing the whole idea of physicality. Hey, you want to add something before we...
Actually, I have a what you're saying about love the neighbor as thyself, you're saying it's not just a commandment to love somebody like you love yourself. It's actually the reward of loving somebody, of loving the bad parts about somebody, is that you're able to love the bad parts about yourself.
Yeah, I know it's a unique thing, but
it's amazing.
That's something I think I don't want to say I invented it, but I believe in it for many years. I cannot tell you if I read it in a book, but it's something that changed my life, basically. Changed my life, and I got to commit to it more often. I don't do it as often as I used to do it before. I got to do it more often because it's a practice. It's a basic practice of love. Because some people say, of course I love you. That's not enough. Practice of love, like you look for a person, let's say you go to pray or you go to a party and you look around, what's the person who bothers you the most? Can I find one good thing about him? If I can, I will eventually find one good thing about something I don't like about myself. It's a reward, of course. So it's a beautiful thing. And I don't need to tell you, I mean, we're in the holiday of Hanukkah, holiday of miracles. The miracle you ask for doing the menorah, doing the Chanukiah, will not go empty. They're just in Esther. They are concealed for the time that you need it. All right?
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Big hug. Thank you, Yehuda. Thank you, Debbie.